think Zendaya always just brings me an unbelievable sense of calm. Even in the midst of all of this craziness.
What do you do when the entire world forgets you existed? That's the question Peter Parker has been living with for the last 4 years. And on July 31st, 2026, we finally got the answer when Spider-Man: Brand New Day swings into theaters. This isn't just another sequel. It's the 10th year of Tom Holland playing Peter Parker, and it might be the most personal chapter yet. So before you watch it, let's break down exactly who's behind the mask, who's standing beside him, and who's coming to tear his world apart. Let's start with the man himself. Tom Holland returns for his 4th solo outing as Peter Parker, and this time, he's not the wide-eyed teenager we met back in Homecoming. A decade has passed since he first put on the suit, and Holland has openly reflected on what it means to have grown up alongside this character. The Peter Parker we meet in Brand New Day is older, more hardened, and living in complete anonymity. Thanks to Doctor Strange's memory-erasing spell at the end of No Way Home, nobody in this world remembers that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, not his friends, not the people he saves every night. Nobody. That means Peter is now fighting crime full-time, alone, with no one to share the weight of his double life. And according to Holland himself, that isolation pushes the story into darker, more emotional territory than fans have seen before in this franchise. He's described this film as carrying a more mature tone, one that digs into real psychological pressure rather than just bigger action set pieces. Standing beside him, at least in memory, if not in knowledge, is Zendaya, returning as MJ. Their relationship has always been the emotional core of this trilogy, but this time, there's a devastating twist. MJ doesn't remember Peter. She's moved on. She's building a life that doesn't include him. Watching Peter navigate being near the person he loves most while she looks at him like a stranger is set to be one of the most gutting elements of the film. Then there's Jacob Batalon, back as Ned Leeds, Peter's best friend since childhood. Ned has always been Spider-Man's guy in the chair, the loyal sidekick who knew the secret and helped carry it. But now, Ned's at MIT, he's thriving. He's completely unaware that he ever helped save the world. For longtime fans, that's a gut punch. The found family that carried Peter through 3 movies has been erased, piece by piece, and he's the only one who remembers any of it. Now here's where the mystery kicks in. Sadie Sink, known to most audiences from Stranger Things, joins the Marvel Cinematic Universe for the first time in Brand New Day, and her role has been kept deliberately vague. Marvel confirmed her casting long before the film's title was even announced, and fans have spent months speculating. Is she a new love interest? A classic comic character making her live-action debut? Whoever she's playing, her presence signals that this film is bringing something genuinely new into Peter's orbit, not just leaning on nostalgia. And speaking of new additions, Jon Bernthal is back as Frank Castle, the Punisher, reprising the role that made him a fan favorite. His inclusion is a big part of why this film is being described as tonally heavier than previous Spider-Man entries. Punisher isn't a hero who plays by anyone's rules, and dropping him into Peter Parker's world creates a moral collision that this franchise has never really explored. Interestingly, Bernthal and Holland actually go back years before either of them wore their respective costumes. They worked together on a small film back in 2017, and Bernthal has joked that he deserves some credit for Holland landing the Spider-Man role in the first place, since he helped him prepare his audition tape. On the villain side, Michael Mando returns as Mac Gargan, better known as the Scorpion. This is a payoff fans have been waiting on since 2017, when Gargan first appeared in a brief, threatening scene in Homecoming. Now, nearly a decade later, that thread finally gets picked up, and Scorpion steps into the spotlight as one of the film's central threats. Joining him is Tremel Tillman, the Emmy-nominated actor best known for Severance, making his Marvel debut in a role that has been completely kept under wraps. No hints, no leaks, just speculation. Some fans think he could be playing a classic Spider-Man villain like Tombstone or Boomerang. Others believe he might be stepping into something entirely unexpected. Whatever the answer, his casting alone tells you Marvel is investing serious dramatic weight into this film's antagonist roster. And in a reveal that surprised almost everyone, Mark Ruffalo returns as Bruce Banner, bringing the Hulk into Peter Parker's corner of the universe. It's worth noting that Ruffalo's Hulk was originally rumored for the upcoming Avengers, Doomsday, but that appearance was ultimately reserved for this film instead, making Brand New Day the place where Hulk actually shows up. That's a massive signal about the scale of the threat Peter is about to face. When Bruce Banner gets involved, the stakes aren't small anymore. Behind the camera, the film is directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, the filmmaker behind Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings. Cretton takes over from John Watts, who directed the previous 3 films in this era, and that shift in direction seems to be part of why this movie feels like such a departure. Cretton has described the story as functioning almost like a detective mystery. For a large portion of the film, even Spider-Man himself is described as lost, working to piece together what's really happening in a city that no longer remembers who he is. New York City itself becomes almost a character in the story. With Peter isolated from everyone who once knew him, the city becomes the one constant in his life, the thing he protects even when nobody's watching, even when nobody says thank you. The film has also been building buzz through an aggressive press run. Tom Holland made headlines when he debuted the film's trailer live at the Empire State Building, discussing the emotional toll of the story and the introduction of new threats like the Punisher. Cast members including Holland, Bernthal, Batalon, and Sadie Sink have been doing joint interviews, teasing everything from the collaborative process of building each character's gear to how the production maintains secrecy around major plot details. Even the film's new Spider-Man suit generated headlines after Marvel decided to reveal it earlier than usual, a choice Holland has spoken about directly. There's also been buzz around Peter's physical evolution in this movie. Beyond the emotional journey, Spider-Man's powers themselves appear to be changing, developing in ways that are described as both surprising and dangerous. It's a fresh wrinkle for a character who spent 4 movies mastering the powers he already had. Now, apparently, those powers aren't done evolving. The supporting cast runs even deeper than the headline names. Marisa Tomei returns once again as Aunt May, the steady presence who's grounded Peter through every version of this story so far. Liza Colon-Zayas also joins the film in a role that Marvel has kept quiet, though speculation online has connected her casting to characters tied to Miles Morales' world, fueling theories about just how far this story might reach beyond the Peter Parker we already know. And Naomi Watts rounds out the list of newcomers, her role also unconfirmed, adding yet another layer of mystery to a cast that already feels stacked with secrets. That secrecy has become part of the film's identity. Cast members have repeatedly discussed just how difficult it was to keep details hidden during production, especially with a story this emotionally loaded and a cast this large. Interviews throughout the press run have circled back again and again to how tightly Marvel controlled information, right down to which actors even knew each other's full character arcs while filming. The premiere itself became a moment in its own right. Tom Holland, Zendaya, Sadie Sink, and the rest of the cast walked the carpet together in Hollywood, marking the public unveiling of a project that had been shrouded in secrecy for over a year. Photographers and fans lined up for a first real look at the ensemble together, a rare moment where the cast appeared as themselves rather than in character, celebrating the culmination of a production that stretched across multiple countries, including a shoot based in Glasgow, Scotland. Even smaller press moments have added to the anticipation. Holland has used interviews to talk candidly about hitting the 10-year mark playing this character, reflecting on how much both he and Peter Parker have changed since 2016. He's spoken about the friendships built on set, the shorthand the cast now shares after years of working together, and how strange it feels to still be discovering new layers of a character he thought he knew inside and out. With the film's Hollywood premiere already underway and the official release landing July 31st, 2026, Spider-Man Brand New Day is positioning itself as more than just the next chapter. It's a reset, a reintroduction, a version of Peter Parker stripped of everything familiar, forced to rebuild his identity from nothing, with new allies, unpredictable threats, and a city that's forgotten the one person who's never stopped protecting it. 10 years in, Tom Holland's Spider-Man isn't just swinging through New York anymore. He's fighting to remember who he is, even as the world insists on forgetting, and that might be the most human Spider-Man story we've ever gotten.